Abubakar Suleiman. And my issue has to do with political parties funding, or funding of the political parties by the state. This has been a long-standing issue on the table, and I want to find out further clarification as to how this will be done by the government in power, not be prejudiced against other political parties. That's my question. Thank you.
The very last speaker talked about opulence of the political class. Mr. Speaker, I didn't go to school like you did. I want to have a definition of what you call opulence. 2, I don't know if you have occupied any political position before. Can you help us with the ranking? What is the grade level of a colonel compared to the member of the House of Assembly? What is their grade level as we begin to talk about opulence? And Professor Suleiman, sir, you talked about ideology, evolving ideology. Before now, the world was literally divided into East and West. And that division helped to shape ideologies across the board, be it social or economic. And it also speculated to the point of granting ideologies to groupings. So, how do we evolve this ideology? Can it be legislated into being by fiat? Then secondly, you talked about the entrenchment, enforcement.
There's nothing we can do. We have provision, we have constitution, we have rules, we don't get it compliant. I think that needs to be looked into seriously. Then we have talked of legal framework. Yeah, again, we have a legal framework, but who enforce it? Talk of policy framework, who enforce that? I think in terms of regime, the structure that would actually supervise the electoral process, I think the recruitment process needs to be looked into seriously. To me, that's the major issue. The second question talk about the issue of ideology, that I made issue of ideology. Yeah. When you talk about political party evolution in East Africa, even African countries, they evolved out of the zeal to get rid of colonial power in that country. It was based on certain experience. It's not just on that want to form a political party. Certain incidences, certain experience, inform why those political parties are formed. So, I want to define political party. It says a formal political association, formal political association with ideology. So, if you don't have ideology, then you are not a political party. We are not talking about CSU, we are not talking about pressure, we are talking about politics. You must have a distinct ideology that separate you from the other political party. What do you have in terms of program? What do you have in terms of ideas? What do you have in terms of what you really want to put that will shape your perception on certain issues? We observe most political parties today, after a series of colonial struggle, nationalism in the 70s and 60s, they could not boast of any serious political. Even if your political party about ethnic or religious, let us know what we are going to stand for. In most African clans, we don't know what political parties stand for. So I think again, the electoral body still need to look into that. If you are talking about political party, it must be ideological based. If you don't have the ideology, then you are not fit to be registered political party. I told you what obtained in Nigeria some years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, that the electoral body in Nigeria have to scrape down the number of almost 99 political parties. They have to bend them down to 16. I think the electoral body needs to be strengthened to ensure certain compliance in what we should do, in terms of funding, in terms of ideology, in terms of ensuring that at least we live in tandem with what we are. So, enforcement, then you talk about the issue of accountability of the political parties. How do we achieve that? This thing is attitudinal. It's legal framework. In Nigeria, we have so many anti-graft institutions that go beyond just monitoring the 419s. They even go to political parties funding. You want to see how the money given to you, related to you, are being utilized. So we need to strengthen the various anti-graft institutions in our country. The question I want to put to us, gentlemen and ladies here, we have talked about so many instances in Africa, in West Africa, We have said so many, we have responded to the academics, they have said, okay, what have we done to happen? But we have a statistic here which shows that, for instance, 8 countries in Africa try to come out with, we don't have constitutional term limits in their country. These countries are Eritrea, Ethiopia, Gambia, Lesotho, Morocco, Somalia, South Sudan, and Switzerland. 16 other African countries have attempted to either modify or eliminate time limits in their own country. Of these, only 10 countries have successfully modified or eliminated it. That is Togo, that is Gabon, that is Uganda.
So he talks opulence, opulence, opulence. Let me understand what do you mean by opulence? I didn't come here to be talked down on. I didn't come here to be talked down on. I aimed a PhD. I was a scholar. They shouldn't look at every politician and say, oh, you don't talk down on me, but it's opulence.
I beg of you, we have done your intervention. It's not time for you to respond. If you are not satisfied,
the question was not directed at him. He was the intervene, and he's taking us off the course.
I beg of you, please.
He's taking us off the course.
Professor Kulai, you have to go. And they are protecting.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't understand what's the argument about, but I don't remember something that I guess.
Mr. Speaker, mine has to do with political funding, which has been a very big problem and affects especially we women. I want to find out whether this issue has ever been taken up by Ecowas and that it has ever been discussed with the powers that be. The issue of political funding is very, very important. Mr. Speaker, my other problem has to do with the responsibilities of political parties. And we have been told that we are supposed to contribute or be part of policy making or decision making. Mr. Speaker, there is a very big problem here because with my own experience and in my own country, we have a hung parliament where people might think that whatever we want to do or say would be from both parties that are currently dominant in parliament. But that is not the situation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it has come to be that when there is an issue and we are unable to get to the crux of it, then what is referred to as executive power is used. Today we have a very big problem, which shouldn't be a problem, but it's hanging there. The issue of taxation of sanitary pads. Why should that happen? When sanitary pads, taxes on sanitary pads.
Is it part of the issues proposing to?
It's part of the problem that we have tried to resolve, and we want to. I am bringing it in because people think that when we talk about sanitary pads, Mr. Speaker, I can see that you are very interested. It's a very big. Mr. Speaker, I am talking about decision making or policy making. We should understand that we need all genders when it comes to politics. And so we must listen to each other. So what I'm trying to put across is, if we are...
I thought you were referring to the other one.
Mr. Speaker, which other one? Mr. Speaker, I'm referring to sanitary pads. Many sanitary pads. Mr. Speaker, that's what I'm referring to with all the seriousness. So the use of executive power to ensure that things are done in the interest of ruling government is a very big problem and should be discussed. So I want that issue to be taken up seriously. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Look at the base. The issue of convention, protocol, law, constitutional provisions. It's not about provisions in terms of whether they exist. It's about enforcement. It's about implementation. It's about who does what are the regime we put in place to ensure that there are compliance. In Nigeria, for instance, there are a lot of regulations, provisions in the constitutions and our electoral law that forbids financing of political parties either through the course of government funds, through government treasury. But what I think is lacking for both West Africa and country is a regime, a structure, an institution that will ensure that monitoring and evaluations of how this money is being done is being to comply with. And that takes me to the issue of how do we appoint the electoral body? Who appoint the electoral body? The electoral body which is charged with responsibility of ensuring that we don't take money from outside, we don't take money from government treasury. How are the recruitment at that level done? Who appoint the chairman of the electoral body? Who appoint the commissioner? As long as the ruling party does that, then there's no problem. I think at our various level we need to look into that. In terms of constitutional amendment, in terms of reviewing of that electoral act, in terms of ensuring that the electoral body is not being solely appointed or recruited by
the living standard of the constitution. It's an opinion that I should give. Again, the military in most states where there are no wars seems to be idle, doing nothing. Most of them, in many countries, they are given opportunities to serve, help with prison officers, help with road constructions and other things. But at the same time, the condition of service must be better off. And also, the citizens sometimes have propelled the military to intervene in politics, which is unnecessary. The next issue which I want to talk about is the issue of resources for political parties. Now, when you regulate political parties properly, you get a regulation that says public officials cannot use state resources for political party activities or personal campaigns.